Right. So once again, I welcome all of you for this first lecture of electromagnetic field theory. Right. So before I begin, I would like to create some awareness about the subject, and that's why I was expecting a complete, or you can say 100% participation, 100% attention, attendance from your class. Right. So still, you can put a message to your friends if they are absent for this meeting. It's going to be a very, very important session. If they don't understand this session and importance of subject, they will be spoiling a career. In fact, I can start my lecture with a remark that this EMFT can hamper, this can affect your career, complete career. Right. So still, you find some of the students are absent here in this meeting, you can put a message and ask them to join immediately. By the time I will start, right? So I hope I'm clearly audible to everyone. Can someone respond? Who is the CR class representative?
Yes, sir.
Can you come again? Your name?
Shreya Kulkarni.
Shreya Kulkarni, right? So fine. At least somebody should respond when I ask, am I audible? Am I my screen is visible or not? So in that case, somebody should respond, right? And it's not a duty of CR to tell every time, respond every time to the teacher, audible and visible, etc. So the student should respond. All the student I expect to respond to these questions, right? So at least with that you can come out of your comfort zone and start developing yourself on personality, this thing, right? So let's begin. First of all, I'd like to share the screen, so I hope it is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Great. A complete screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So as I said, this is lecture number 1 of electromagnetic field theory. And before that, I would like to introduce this, this particular subject is assigned in TY BTech Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering since 2020-21, right? So since last year, this syllabus, this subject was introduced. Before that, it was called as electromagnetic theory and radiating system, which is abbreviated as EMER. Now, since from last year, it has been modified, it has been renamed as electromagnetic field theory, right? So with that, let me quickly introduce myself, who I am. Most of you might have heard about me. I'm Professor Ashish Jadhav, working in Electronics and Telecommunication Department, uh, working there as assistant professor. And here is my short summary, short profile, right? So I'm working as assistant professor since last 12 years. That means I'm having a total experience of 12 years. Highest qualification that I have is ME. I have done my graduation in 2009 in Shivaji University in electronics and telecommunication, and after that I did my PG, that is ME, Masters in Engineering, from this institute only in 2012. And since 2017, I'm pursuing for this PhD in the area antenna design. So basically, I'm trying to design the antenna, uh, which can be utilized for multiple devices like multi-band operating antenna. Apart from that, I have expertise in microcontrollers, embedded system, IoT, etc. Right. So different subjects I taught in the academics are IoT, which it stands for Internet of Things. Then MCA stands for microcontrollers and applications. Earlier, long back, before teaching this EMER and EMFT, I used to teach MCA, microcontrollers and applications. Then this EMER, as I said, it's electromagnetic theory and radiating systems, electromagnetic engineering and radiating systems. And now it is called as EMFT in short. It is called as a EMFT. It stands for electromagnetic field theory, right? Then I taught random signal theory and coding, RSTC, coding theory, CT, then adaptive signal processing and advanced signal processing for PG. So those many subjects I have taught to UG and PG of engineering. If I talk about the publications, I have more than 30 publications on my name. Then I have published 8 research books, and I have filed 4 patents. Like in some of them, I am the inventor, and in some of them, I am the co-inventor. Right. So 4 patents are there on my name. So this is my short profile. Now, this would be the outline of our today's lecture. So what we are going to discuss today. So it would cover introduction, right? Introduction to subject now. Then credit system structure. So what exam structure, what academics involved behind it, that we will discuss. Course objectives, outcomes. Then we will see, at least we should have a look on the syllabus. That's why I have included the syllabus part here. And based on that, how the internal continuous assessment will be done will be discussed. And at the end, I will try to cover recommended books, which books you can refer, right? So let's begin. Let's move on. Right. So I hope it's visible. This is credit system structure for electromagnetic field theory. Right. So I hope everyone know what is course code. Course code is assigned for that particular subject, which is very unique, and it describes like ET. ET stands for electronics and telecommunication. 3 means you are in a 3rd year, right? And 1 means, can anyone tell what is 1? 1 means first semester, and another,
First semester.
yes, first semester. And what is next? Another one. This would be the serial of the subject, right? So most of the time you will have those types of course code, like for electromagnetic field theory, ET311. For other subjects of this semester, it would be like ET312, ET313, in this fashion only, right? So this is the course code of electromagnetic field theory. Then we have lectures, tutorials, the practicals. Earlier it was there, but in revised syllabus, in fact, I am the member of the syllabus setting committee. So since last semester, since last year, we have decided to exclude the practicals, because the subject itself is a numerical subject, and people get less time in solving the example, less time in practicing the examples. So we have decided, instead of practicals, we should go for tutorial. So earlier practicals were there. Now for your semester, your curriculum, there would be a tutorial of 1 hour. So this will additionally give you a chance to practice the numericals, right? So total credits, if you can consider, so this would be 4, right? So there would be, if I talk about the number of hours, there would be 3 lecture hours per week and 1 tutorial hour per week. And in the same fashion, this credits are also distributed. 3 credits are given to the lectures, 1 credit is given to the tutorial. So total 4 credits are there. Now examination scheme, in that if I talk about marks, there would be ISE in same examination of 30 marks. It would be of 30 marks. Then end same examination, it would be of 70 mark, and ICA it would be of 25 marks. So total, if you count, the weightage of this particular subject is 125. Right, so total 125 marks would be the weightage of this subject. Now different course objectives. Okay, okay, before this course objective, I would like to talk about this one. Right, so once again, someone respond, is it visible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just now we have discussed about examination scheme. Now let me tell you some history about this particular subject so that you will understand importance. Average result of this subject. I'm going to make some bold statements. I hope all of you are listening. All of you are listening to me very attentively, what I'm trying to tell, how serious it is, right? So average result of this subject, that is electromagnetic field, let it be earlier it was electromagnetic engineering and radiating system. Now it is called as a electromagnetic field theory. Average result of this subject of complete university is 30%, 30 to 40%. 30 to 40%. I'm not talking about last year case, because last year everything goes online and people get assistance while solving the answer sheets, while solving the question papers, right? So mass copy and malpractice, Google Lens, I know everything, but still let me say here, last batch was very fortunate, and that's why they cleared this subject without any hesitation. But as I said, the result of this subject for entire university is very, very less. Second thing, if you consider this particular subject, this subject is one of the major reason why students stop doing engineering in the 3rd year. This is the subject, or this is the reason, you can say, people stop, they give up. Literally, they give up and they stop doing engineering. Mostly electronics and telecommunication. Some of the times electrical engineering students also have this subject. But in electronics and telecommunication, this is the major, or you can say main reason why students stop doing engineering. Reason is very clear. This would be a subject that can give you a ATKT which can last longer, like for golden. Do you know what is golden? Do you know what is golden? Golden opportunity to solve, to clear the ATKT. Can anyone know what is golden opportunity to solve ATKT?
Last chance to attempt a specific
Last chance to attempt, right? So this subject, it could be a last chance, or let's say anything, golden opportunity. Many of the times I saw the students having golden chance of electromagnetic field theory. And in fact, I saw many of the students who are about to get NFT. You might have heard golden opportunity, but I have heard NFT. NFT stands for not fit for technical education, which is applied to a particular student if he or she could not clear that subject in 7 attempts. Getting my point? And I saw some of the students from university. I'm not talking about our college. I'm not talking about my students. I'm telling you, I'm giving you the idea in general, right? So I saw some of the students getting NFT because of this subject. And earlier result also, if you consider, I can tell you the result because I have written it right now, just to make you aware. In 17-18, I'm talking about our college result. Our college result was 40%. 40% means, just imagine, there were let's say 100 students in the class. So if 40% result means only 40 students can clear the subject, else remaining 60 students will have a live backlog, live ATKT of this electromagnetic field theory. It will go to the second semester. And in second semester also, it's very hard to clear this subject. And that's why they took this ATKT in the final year, and ultimately the chance of getting opportunities in MNCs is being lost because they do not allow live ATKTs in final year placements. Right? So 2017-18, the result was 40%. After that, I in fact, I took the backlog classes of that batch. And if you believe, there were 65 backlog students were attending my classes at that time. After that, I started teaching. In 2018-19, 75% result. In 1920, it's 83% result. And in last year, that is 2021, 100% result. And I do not believe 100% for electromagnetics. It's impossible, but still students did malpractice, and they have done it with the help of Google Lens, and they got a chance to succeed without any efforts, without making any efforts. But your batch, now I am coming to your batch. Am I making sense? Now I'm going to talk about your batch. Can someone respond? Hello?
Yes, sir.
As of now, is there anyone having doubt? Any query?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So let's move ahead. As I said, now coming to your batch. Your batch is going to be online as of now, but most probably, maybe I'm adding maybe. It's going to start offline from next month. It's going to start offline from next month. Maybe is there, of course. I'm adding maybe. So if it happens maybe, then you have to face this subject with physical examination. Physical means you have to appear for this subject examination offline. And you have to assume that scenario. And you have to assume the understanding. You have to assume the difficulty level. And that's why I wanted every one of you to attend this particular session. This is a complete numerical based subject. As far as me, as far as I am concerned, I can tell you two things about this subject. If you ask me which one is simplest subject in electronics and telecommunication, I will tell you it's electromagnetic field theory. And on the other hand, if you ask me which one is the toughest subject of electromagnetic, toughest subject of electronics telecom engineering, again, my answer would be electromagnetic field theory. Reason is, see, if subject, anyway, any subject, it is going to be difficult, right? But it depends upon the student. It depends upon the teacher, how he or she involve the student into the process, how students are getting into involved into the process. If student do not give justice to the subject, it would be a very difficult subject for him. And if, on the other hand, student gives the justice to that subject, if student make effort, do lot of practice of that subject, then in that case, the subject would be simplest subject for that person, for that candidate. Right? That's why I said it would be a simplest and it would be a toughest. Now, again, I'm going to make two sentences, two statements here. Number one, you will ask how to score or how many marks students usually get. I can tell you here, it's very, very easy to get out about marks. Like, as I said, there would be ESE of 70 marks. And for this subject, 70 marks, getting 70 marks is very, very easy. And on the other hand, if you ask me, what about passing and difficulties in getting passed in this subject? If you think about this, it's very, very difficult to get at least even 28 marks. Most of the students struggles a lot. They attempt the subject for 4, 5 times, 6 times, but still they could not score 28 marks. And I saw such students. Right? So I hope this much dose is sufficient. This would be considered as M4. You might have seen this M1, M2, M3. This you can consider as a M4 of electromagnetic electronics and telecommunication. Any doubts so far? Do you want to ask anything? Hello?
Nothing, sir.
Okay, great. So let's begin. Let's start with the actual point. But before that, one more requirement I should put before, and it is now you may be scared of, like, if the subject is difficult, how and if the things happens offline, what will happen and how we will clear this subject. So one assurance I can give you, as long as I'm there, you don't have to be worried about this subject. You have to rely on whatever we are discussing, we are teaching here. You have to rely on the notes which are being provided. I can tell you many of the examples of student who scored at that time the examination was of 100 marks. Students have scored 96, 97, 98 marks in electromagnetic field theory just by referring to the notes, just by referring to specifically my notes. So you have to rely on my teaching, you have to rely on my notes, whatever things, study material I provide. You can simply be assured, like as long as I am there, you will not face any difficulty with respect to this subject, right? But I have 3 basic requirements. So if you complete those 3 basic requirements, I can assure you, you will score more than 70% in this particular subject. And which are those 3 requirements? Number 1, calculator. Number 1, can anyone recite what I said?
Calculator.
Correct. Number 1, calculator. See, many of the times what happens, online lectures are going on, I ask you to do some calculation, one student replied something, but since the answer is known, student keep on copying the answer. They do not do the calculation at their own, and there it creates a major difficulty, major problem. If students do not do the calculations at own, they will not be able to do it in the examination. This is my feeling actually. If you don't have calci, you cannot clear this subject. If you don't use the calci, you cannot clear the subject. This is first. Number 2, 200 pages notebook. 200 pages notebook. Many of the students, earlier students, I'm talking about the past stories. Many of the students come to me by getting this photocopies, right? So some of them get a backlog of this year, and they come to me by having a Xerox copy of that photocopy, right? Photocopy, once they get, they come to me for cross checking. So at that time, I check their 200 pages notebook. Otherwise, I do not even touch their photocopies. Because if they don't have 200 pages notebook with them, they cannot clear this subject. So I hope you understand these 2 requirements. If you don't have the calci, buy it today, so that you will be ready to attend the lectures from tomorrow onwards. Next step, 200 pages notebook. If you don't have it, go to the market, get 200 pages notebook purchased, and in the next lecture, it will begin in only after you show that 200-page notebook to me. And last but not the least, your alertness, your attentiveness, your presence in the class. I'm not asking online presence. I'm asking about your mental presence in the class. So if you provide me those 3 things, I'm giving you the assurity, this subject will not create any difficulty for you. In fact, you will score, your marks would be more than the marks you get in any other subjects. That assurance, that guarantee I can give. And with that little concluding remark, let's begin about title of subject. So this is usual way of discussing any subject in our format, in our triple P. So about title of subject, since it involves 3 different words, I'm going to split it into 3 different terminologies. One is electromagnetic, second field, and third one is theory, right? So now first word, if you focus at electromagnetic, again, it can be divided into 2 parts, electro and magnetic, right? So this electromagnetic can be split into 2 different domains. One domain is called as a electrostatic field. and second domain is called as a magnetostatic field, right? So electrostatic field is the field which is created by a point charge, or let's say charged particles, whereas magnetic field which is created by flowing current, or you can say a uniform current, right? So I will come to the definition part later on. I'll discuss and I'll tell you the technical definitions of those two. So these are just the fields, electric field and magnetic field. If you combine those two terminologies, it becomes electromagnetic. Now come to the next term, that is field, right? So what do you mean by field? Can anyone tell? You can tell the dictionary meaning as well. I do not want any technical definition of field. If you know anything about field, a dictionary meaning of field, you can tell. Okay, let me tell you what is field. Field is nothing but area under influence. Area under influence, right? So the analogy I can give you with respect to cricket ground. So I hope all of you know, all of you have seen the cricket ground. So as far as that batsman is concerned, what is the field? What is the field as far as that batsman is concerned? See, for that batsman, the field is nothing but the area covered inside the border, inside the boundary. That is completely called as a field for that batsman. Why? Because when a bowler throws a ball, batsman hits the ball, right? And the ball can go anywhere which is countable. The action is countable. If it is fall like if it remains within the boundary, he can run one or two, he can take one or two runs. But if it crosses the boundary, he may get 4 or 6, right? So the border or the boundary is the area of influence. It decides how many runs he is going to get. So it is nothing but area of influence. It is a field for that batsman, right? So similar to that, in electric field, or you can say in a magnetic concepts, you have a field. Like if I'm talking about this point charge, this point charge, this point charge will have certain area of influence surrounding that. That is called as a field for that point charge. If I'm talking about some conductor carrying current, so that conductor will have some surrounding area influenced by magnetic intensity, and that is called as a magnetic field, right? So area under influence is nothing but field. And last term here I would like to talk about is nothing but theory. So theory means just the basic principles, basic fundamentals. So if I combine all those terms together here in this subject, which is basically a branch of physics. If I talk about electromagnetics, it's a branch of physics which deals with the study of fundamental concept of electrostatic field, magnetostatic field, and different laws, different theorems, their derivations along with the numericals. So this is what the meaning of subject. This is what the meaning of electromagnetic field theory. So what we are going to discuss in this particular subject would be covered on a next slide. Right? So central idea of the subject. So as I said, there would be electrostatic field. So I'm talking about a complete structure of subject. So these are the 4 different domains that we are going to discuss, that we are going to study in throughout the course, throughout the subject. So first part involves electrostatic field, right? As I said, the field which is produced because of some stationary charges is referred as a electrostatic field. So all the concepts, all the laws, all the fundamentals related with the electrostatic field, we will discuss in uh, this particular domain. Then we will switch into magnetostatic field, right? So as I said, a uniform current, if you are having a conductor carrying a uniform current, it would set up a magnetostatic field. So that also we will discuss. After that, as I said, if you combine those two fields, we will abbreviate it as EM. EM means electromagnetic. We will call it as a electromagnetic field, and we will see how those fields, like combination of electric field and magnetic field, propagates into a medium, right? So how it transmits, because it forms a basic foundation for RF technologies. Now you may be knowing about RF communication, right? So in telecom industry, RF communication is the base, or you can say a foundation for that particular communication. So anything that goes wirelessly, you have to follow the principles of electromagnetics, right? So whenever I talk about some communication system, so what basic picture that comes in your mind? It would have some, let's say, source, right? So after the source, there would be some transmitter, or in transmitter there would be some modulator, encoder, right? So after that, there would be some unit called as antenna, and that antenna will basically converts the electric signals into electromagnetic waves, and those electromagnetic waves will be sent into the air. So at the receiving end, similar mechanism to decode it, right? So at the receiving end, you will have a receiving antenna. That receiving antenna will capture the electromagnetic waves and provide it to the, let's say, decoder or demodulator, whatever it may be, and finally the original signal will be retrieved at the receiver. So this is basic block diagram of communication system. Now I'm talking about EM field. So can you imagine if you don't have EM field, can you transmit such waveforms? No, you cannot transmit any of the signal without electromagnetics. And to carry the electromagnetic signals, you require a transmission lines, right? So transmission lines are required to carry the electromagnetic signals. So entire subject covers those four domains: electrostatic field, magnetostatic field, EM field, and propagation in different media, and transmission lines. Right. So this is the importance of a subject in engineering. Everything I discussed, in fact. So role of this subject in engineering, as I said, it is one of the subject out of let's say almost and around 35 to 40 subjects that you are going to discuss, that you are going to study. You might have studied in first year, second year, third year, and you are going to study in final year, right? So if you list all the subjects, around 35 to 40 subjects are there, if I'm not wrong. So among them, if you compare this as far as difficulty is concerned, one of the difficult, if you ask me, this is the one of the simplest subject, right? And it plays a very important role in engineering, as well as in electronic appliances, in telecom, as I said, and in RF communication. Now coming to the point, and if somebody asks in the interview, which one is your favorite subject? And as I said, most of the students of electronics engineering, they stop doing engineering just because of this subject. This is the background of subject. And based on that, and now I am going to ask you one question. If I ask you which one is your favorite subject, your answer, what it would be? You would answer like analog communication, digital communication. Can anyone dare to answer, my favorite subject is electromagnetics? Just a minute. Huh? Yeah. Right. So let's have a small discussion on this. If I ask you, which one is your favorite subject? Of course, you would answer like analog communication. I hope, am I audible? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Okay. So let me share my personal experience with electromagnetics. There were one committee for UGC and UGC approval committee. And I had applied for that approval in our college. And as far as the panel is concerned, as far as anyone from that panel is concerned, they were having a lot of experience, right? And there was an interview being conducted. I was sitting outside of the door. To every person who is going in and coming out, I was asking what is the question being asked. So the candidates who already appeared for the interview, they replied like interviewer is asking uh, about the favorite subject or area of expertise, or let's say the subject of what you can say, like as, which subject he likes the most. That way the questions are being asked, and based on that the interviewer decides which questions are to be asked to that particular candidate. So many of the times I observed like candidates were saying analog communication, so he's digital communication. So his or her interview would have started from basic principles of communication like transmitter, receiver, and it end up at that adaptive delta modulation and filtering and etc, right? Because people are having lot of knowledge in analog communication, people are having lot of knowledge in embedded system, they are having knowledge in microcontroller, but they don't have the knowledge of electromagnetics. Even though they gain that knowledge only for sake of clearing the subject in their age at the time of their graduation. So this is what I feel, and hence during my interview they asked me the same question, which is your favorite subject? I said, sir, it's electromagnetic field theory. So my interview starts from basic vector scalar concept, and last question they have asked me based on Coulomb's law. Now let me take you through the syllabus and tell you where it is. I hope it's visible. No, I guess I stopped. Yeah, please check. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
No, wait. Yeah, now I guess it will be visible. Now this is the syllabus. Now, as I said, my favorite subject is electromagnetic field theory. He asked me what is the difference between scalar and vector. He asked me different coordinate systems. What are different coordinate systems? And he asked me last question, what is Coulomb's law? And my interview is finished there, and he selected me. Getting my point? Why you guys should say, always say, the difficult subject is your like a kind of favorite subject. So maybe you will understand it afterwards. What is the intention behind telling this? Instead of saying, sir, my favorite subject is like microcontrollers, I prefer, because I was having a lot of expertise in microcontrollers. Even I can do programming in multiple languages with this 8085 8051, right? So I can do programming in assembly, I can do it in a C, I can do it in lot of ways are there. I can write a single program, let's say blinking of LED, in 10 different ways. But still I said my favorite subject is electromagnetics, and that's why my interview starts from scalars vectors, and last question was on Coulomb's law. That's it, right? So that is what the power of this subject. So we are talking about this role of this thing. Now let's move on to objectives, right? So very quickly I will proceed with the objectives. So objectives of this subject: to learn basic coordinate system, like you might have heard like a rectangular coordinate system, Cartesian, that is Cartesian, cylindrical and spherical coordinate system. So we will discuss those. Then there is operator called as a del operator. So if it operates on different quantities, it would produce divergence, gradient, curl, etc. Right? So along with the applications, we will see everything. Then to familiarize with the different concept of electromagnetic static field, right? Then to make awareness among the student about the boundary condition. See, if I'm talking to you, but in fact, if I talk in the classroom, my opposition to my voice, it would be less in air as compared to the opposition offered by the wall, right? So concrete wall, if it's there, RCC wall is there, it would offer more opposition to transfer of my voice. So this is what the effect of boundary, and the same would affect on transmission of electromagnetic waves also. So we have to understand that aspect with respect to boundary condition. Then we have to expose the students to ideas of EM waves and describe the Maxwell's equations. So very, very important part of electromagnetics, Maxwell's equation. Then to derive transmission line equations and parameters, and to determine transmission line parameters. So these are all objectives. Most important is the outcome. So based on every chapter, I have defined one outcome. So those outcomes we will recite frequently. So you will be able to understand, you will be able to learn what you are going to study in that particular unit. So for first unit, I have defined it as after studying first unit, you will be able to utilize the mathematical concept in electromagnetic field. After studying second unit, you will be able to interpret the concept and solve the numericals on electrostatic field. Then in third, you will be able to verify various laws and magnetic static field. Then in fourth unit, it will summarize the Maxwell's equation to interpret the wave propagation. Fifth unit will help you to analyze the electromagnetic wave propagation in different media. And sixth unit will help you to apply the knowledge of Smith chart to determine the transmission line parameters. So we will discuss about the syllabus in the next lecture, because I want to dictate this syllabus to you on your 200 pages notebook. So before my next lecture, I hope every one of you must be ready with 200 pages notebook. Now it's time to get the attendance recorded. The recording is in progress, so you can put your attendance in the chat box now. Write your attendance, write your roll numbers in the chat box. Right. So if you have written your roll number in the chat box, you are allowed to leave the meeting now. If you have written your roll number in the chat box, you are allowed to leave the meeting now. Don't forget to mention your roll number in the chat box.